Hello again, it's Jessica, and today I have the November 2017 paper pumpkin kit. And right here I have two alternative projects that I made. This kit was a 3D project, so there wasn't a lot of materials to make cards. Now I did a terrible job with unboxing this kit right here. So I'll include a link so you can go to the Stampin Up Paper Pumpkin site to see a better version of this, but I didn't want to cut it out of this video. I had zoomed in, I was trying to get close up, and I ended up just messing this up. Paper Pumpkin is a monthly card subscription offered by Stampin Up, and the cost of that is $19.95. This month, you can see right there, it included 10 stockings, so it wasn't actually cards. If you're interested, I will put a link in the description so you can find out more. In my first card here, I stamped out a wreath. Now the kit came with Dapper Denim ink spot, and right there was a cherry cobbler, and that came in last month's kit. So I decided just to add a little more color and use some red ink. You'll also need this a little circle template. I just die cut that out. That'll be your guide for stamping the wreath, and you'll need a card base, and I've got a craft card base here. It's 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. Alrighty, so I speed my videos up because I have a short attention span. So just place that template where you want the wreath on the white paper there, and just stamp around the circle like I'm doing. And in order to add a little more, I guess, depth to this wreath, I stamped it again to create that lighter blue color. So that created a two-tone blue. And so there, right now I'm going back. So you just stamp it off first and then layer it on top of the first stamped image. And I show a little close-up here in a second. Yeah, so that's all there is to actually stamping the wreath. It's pretty easy. Now I'm taking the little star stamp that came with the stamp set and just stamping it randomly around the wreath using the red ink. Now if you didn't want to use this stars, that's why I've got that little red gel pen right there. I had picked that up from Dollar Tree, and that's the only red gel pen that I have. But you can use that to add some little berries to your wreath, and it's really simple. Okay, so I stamped the joy sentiment, and then I using the Dapper Denim ink, and then I offset the stamp just slightly there to give it a shadow effect. And now I'm taking that red gel pen and I'm adding stitch lines around the card base. Just make sure everything dries. You don't want to get any smears. And now I'm doing it to the banner. Now I ended up not liking how this looked, and so I did take it off in the end. And you can see right there I'm adding those little berries, and it's actually really easy to do. And now I'm using this Tombow mono adhesive to adhere the wreath to the card base, and that Tombow glue has become my favorite adhesive, and I'll include a link to that. This is cherry cobbler twine that came with the kit, and I took 2 pieces there and tied it into a bow, and I'm fussing with it there to try to get it to look just right. Here I removed the banner and just stamped right into the middle of the wreath and moved the bow, and I like this look much better. And here is my second project, and I took the Dapper Denim ink spot and did some watercoloring. So the supplies you will need for this card, in addition to the banner, the stamps, and the Dapper Denim ink, you'll need some, or I used some white twine, and I used the snowflakes from the Tags and Trimmings die set from Stampin' Up, and then you will need a full sheet of white cardstock, and I did use, it's a heavier weight, but I did not use watercolor paper. Now you'll cut that 8.5 by 11 sheet in half, and I did score that. Sorry, it passed by, but I scored the card base at 2 1/8 and 6 3/8. If you have one of these score pals, it actually is marked on there. The gatefold card, it's really easy. It's just 2 score lines. Okay, and so I'm watercoloring here using the ink spot, and you just press that down several times onto some plastic, and you can use that as a watercolor. And so I brushed the ink onto the paper. Just wet the paper down first, otherwise it'll get very splotchy. And here, since I didn't use watercolor paper, it still is splotchy, and I used Whisper White ink to even it out just a little bit, and so that's what I did. Okay, and so now I'm going to take the snowflake stamp, and I'm just using the Dapper Denim ink and stamping snowflake onto the paper randomly. Okay, so just make sure that you ink up the stamp really good, and you press down onto the paper firmly, and just press it down for about 3 seconds to get the best stamped image. And now I'm taking the little star that came with the kit, and I am randomly stamping that also. Now I'm going to go ahead and apply the 2 little panels down using the glue again. If you use glue to do this, you're able to wiggle it around and get it positioned perfectly. Okay, so I love adding eyelets to cards, and so that's what I'm doing here, and I'm using a crocodile. And at first, I did not know how to use that, but once you figure it out, it's really easy. Just make sure you're getting the correct size eyelets. That's why I was stumped when I originally got it at first. Now I used some 1/2-inch white ribbon here. I picked that up from Hobby Lobby from the Paper Studio, and I tied that through the 2 eyelets there. And now I'm using the twine, and this little banner here, I added an eyelet to it as well, and I'm going to go ahead and emboss the to and from sentiment. I'm using white embossing powder, and everything that I use in this video I will link to in the description box. And I'm going to emboss the Let It Snow sentiment in white embossing powder. I should have placed that at the top of the card, because I realized when I put the tag on the card, it covers that up. So now I'm going to stamp the snowflake and use and emboss that with white embossing powder. And just make sure you use the embossing buddy, otherwise you'll have a big mess. And I spilt my embossing powder there, but I was able to clean it up. And now I'm just fussing around with the twine, and also trying to get all that powder from the embossing buddy off of the blue. And I'm going to use those snowflakes to dangle off of the twine. It's really easy. You need just put glue in the middle and glue them together with the twine in the center there, just like I'm doing. And that wraps up this card, and I think it turned out just beautiful. I really like this one. And you can see that the tag right there is covering up the sentiment, so I wish I would have put it at the top corner So I took it off there, and you can see. Thanks for joining me today, and have a wonderful day.